Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, so hello everyone. This is Sarah Khan, and I'm your host of today's webinar on behalf of the Cosmic Tribe. This webinar is being held under the umbrella of the Moon Village Association, which has been recently created as a non-governmental organization based in Vienna. The Moon Village Association fosters cooperation for existing or planned global moon exploration programs, be they public or private initiatives. It comprises of more than 600 participants to MVA activities for more than 50 countries and 33 institutional members around the globe, representing a diverse area of technical, scientific, cultural, and interdisciplinary fields. The topic of today's discussion is opportunity to focus on upcoming lunar missions as a writer. From Apollo 8 to Artemis 1 moon rocket recently set first launched by NASA, lunar missions have been an empirical part of astronomy and a milestone in furthering the human progress. In today's webinar, we will be reflecting upon this milestone as a writer, and helping us intelligently reflect on this matter will be the esteemed Mr. Brett Hofstad. Mr. Brett Hofstad is a multidisciplinary engineer, project manager, and author with 4 aviation patents and over 20 years of experience in the aerospace industry. Since 2014, he has channeled his passions for STEM education and outreach, mentoring, and books into creating original books on world-changing STEM topics. His first book is How to Be a Rocket Scientist, 10 Powerful Tips to Enter the Aerospace Field and Launch the Career of Your Dreams, which I think just by the title is a very interesting book, and I think you all should read it. And his other books also include Exploring Smart Cities Activity book for kids, and Goodnight Moon Base. In this presentation and discussion, Brett will discuss about his journey of introducing the opportunities of space and aviation to a wider community and how writing can be a unique and powerful and also a creative opportunity for people to enter the space community. So please welcome Mr. Brett. You have the floor.
Okay, thank you, Sarah. You can hear me fine?
Yes, we can hear
great.
you.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me. I'm excited to share some ideas and opportunities with everyone here. And I love Moon Village Association, so it's a great organization. So I'm happy to help out and contribute here. All right, well, let's get started and we'll talk about things that we can do together or you can do yourself. Now let me make sure I can work this. All right, so here we are today. And as you know, I would hope that we're about to watch a NASA Artemis mission launch later this month, scheduled to go to the moon. So this is one of many major efforts to go to the moon and establish more lunar exploration events and many events that intend to become permanent lunar settlements. So we're really at the cusp of a new renaissance in lunar exploration, which is exciting. So it's a great historic opportunity for everyone that's alive today. But we have some challenges, of course, but they're not the challenges that you might think of. So here's a great quote from Elon Musk. He's, everybody knows, and he talks about going to Mars, but actually he first intends to make a moon base and a permanent establishment on the moon so that he can eventually go to Mars. But he is very committed to establishing permanent human presence on the moon also. But so as far as the problems to get there, there are companies and organizations like space agencies that have a lot of challenges to get there. One of them is communication with others, with the public, and finding people also that can work with them. That's a challenge that we'll talk about. And people in the world who are not part of these efforts, we have challenges with them also because they deserve to know what's happening, because this will affect everybody on the planet when humans start living on the moon, taking technology there, bringing technology back. But also we have a lot of non-technological questions and issues about the moon, like property rights and rights to the resources. How do we control those? That has not been worked out yet completely. And so we need to solve these problems as a species to figure out how do we settle new worlds beyond Earth. It's a big cosmic question. And Cosmic Tribe is also a good organization to help think about that and work on that. So these are big questions for humanity. I believe we need everybody involved in that. The more people, the better. And so this is also an area where anyone can contribute if they think they have ideas or if they want to help communicate ideas of others. So I am a firm believer that every adversity or challenge has within it the seed of an equal or greater benefit, as Napoleon Hill famously said. He's a great author with great books, by the way, if you haven't heard of him. And so the opportunity today is that we are all connected here. I'm coming to you from California, in the United States, and we benefit from technology connecting us all here. So anybody who's watching this and listening to this, you have the power of the world at your fingertips also. You can reach anyone in the world who's also connected. So let's use that to our advantage. And so that brings me to a revelation I had myself. I'll let you know that one of my lifetime hobbies and passions has been music, playing music and composing music. And one of my dreams, starting from when I was a teenager, was to someday hopefully have my own music album of original music released into the world. Well, when I was in my 30s, I looked around and realized now that we have technology and tools available to us. This was at the time when there were companies like CD Baby and iTunes. And I realized that I don't need anyone's permission. I don't need a record label anymore to do this. I can just do it myself. So that's what I did. I built a music studio and learned how to use it and connected everything and recorded everything. And then when I was about 40 years old, I released my dream, which was this album of original music. And you can find it on the web if you search for it. So this was a great achievement for myself and satisfaction. But then I realized, I thought about after this, what do I do next? So I had still some creative energies, but I wanted to channel them into something that was more aligned with my career and my expertise. So that's when I decided to go into book writing and publishing. And so I decided, what could I do for my first book? I've always been interested in mentoring other people and encouraging people to enter the aerospace field, where I was working at the time for my whole career. So here's the first book I published and wrote in 2014, How to Be a Rocket Scientist. And that is still available, although you might have to look a little hard, but it's on my website, howtobearocketscientist.com. But what I want to talk about with you now is one of the tips inside. And it's tip number 2, which is your mission and opportunity in today's world to expand your concept of rocket science or of space exploration. Because it's not just about the technology. As I said before, we need people of all backgrounds and all skills. And so this is a great opportunity for writing for you, if you're a writer or if you want to be. So let's talk about some more about that. But what I also recommend is we start with why. Why is this important to you? So there's a great TED Talk on YouTube. Here's a link, but you can just do a search for the title there, Start With Why by Simon Sinek. It has over 9 million views, this great talk. And here's an illustration from it. Basically, the key to success is to start with your why, your motivation, and what's important to you. So if you are considering using your writing skills to help advance or to participate in the upcoming lunar missions, please spend some time and some thought to think about really why is this important to you, and why in particular do you want to focus on it, and why would you want to have an impact with other people if you did this. So please think about that and form those answers in your mind. You don't have to have all the answers, but you really want to think about that. And then we can talk about how to do that, which we'll do next, and what you can do to fulfill your dreams. So let's talk about how you can go about this, and hopefully this is some good advice, good suggestions for you. So what I believe is important is to combine your analytical skills and your creative skills. So do some scientific, engineering-like thought and thinking, and then apply your creativity too. So here's a Venn diagram that I have used for myself in my life, and I've shared with others that's been helpful. What you can do is think about your passions and actually list those out on paper or on a computer. And what are you passionate about? Then take an assessment of your skills and your strengths as a person. What are your talents that you have, your education that you've gained so far? What is that? And what comes easy to you? If it's writing, then that's a good thing you're here. It could be a good fit for you. And then think about what are the opportunities out there or needs out there that other people want to fulfill. Those present opportunities for you to channel your efforts. So we'll talk about more of those here too. So now here's some specific suggestions and advice for how to be a better writer. If you're going to do this, obviously you want to have some skills and develop yourself. So there's a great approach that I've learned from some startups and some entrepreneurial efforts. It's called Lean Startup. And it basically combines the idea of lean manufacturing or removing waste from a process and the startup entrepreneurial process. And so a key concept from this is to do an iterative loop where you continually improve and learn, but you have to create and produce something in order to learn. So the first step is to build or create something. And for writing, that would mean start to write and release or publish something somewhere. And then you measure what the reaction is, look for feedback, you learn from it, you can ask people directly for feedback, you can see what responses are, and then you use that feedback to learn and adapt and change what you do and improve. And then you just repeat that process. It's a continuous process, like continuous learning throughout your career. So that's one framework I highly recommend. Then there's a very short, valuable essay. It's actually a short blog post about how to be a better writer. And it's from someone who I like to learn from. It's Scott Adams. He is the creator of the Dilbert cartoon. And he's done a lot of other work and been successful. And he's definitely a good writer because that's what he does for a living. So do a search for that article, and it's very short. It's just a couple hundred words, but it has some very priceless advice on how to be a better writer. And the third point I'd recommend to everyone is to realize this is a long journey, just like going to the moon and establishing a moon village there. This is it's not a sprint, it will be more of a marathon. So prepare yourself to make this a long journey. It's a long process, and get in the mindset of enjoying the journey, because it will be and could be a lifetime of effort for you that can bring a lifetime of rewards as well. And so one more thought about this is to have the courage to get started and just start doing something, because you don't have to accomplish great things right away, but you can just accomplish little things in a great way and have a positive mindset about it. This image, by the way, is from my book, Goodnight Moonbase. So I used a few images there. Here's another one. So let's talk about what you can do to become a better writer and to use the opportunity of these upcoming lunar missions as a writer. Well, hopefully, maybe perhaps you learned about this webinar from social media. And social media now is a fantastic platform to reach the world and to develop and share your writing skills. Here's a LinkedIn with Moon Village Association, and you might even benefit from talking to people within Moon Village Association, find out if they could benefit from someone to be a writer. And you can look on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, especially for this, because it's a very, it's a social media platform really that's targeted usually to writing. And so you can publish your own articles there. There's many groups you can search for that are specific to lunar exploration. And so you can contribute articles and posts to there. And you can also do some other things on LinkedIn I'll talk about soon that are very beneficial. Another idea is you can create your own blog. And this is a fantastic way I've used, many people have used to develop your writing skills. It allows you to have a persistent single place over time where you can build a library of writing work. And it's a great way also to connect with others because you can invite them to contribute to your blog. You can link to their efforts and highlight their efforts. So let's say you're writing about efforts in Pakistan that will contribute to lunar missions. You can write an article about them, and then you can create a hyperlink to them, their efforts in your blog article. And then something to think about always is how to promote and share your work. So when you do that, you can contact them and tell them, hey, I wrote an article about you. Here's my blog post. And that will encourage them to share it and to get to know you. And it could be an introduction to them so that you can build a relationship with them and do more with them, perhaps. So it's a long journey, long process. It takes persistence. But if you're methodical about it, then this a blog is a powerful thing to do. And if anyone thinks they need some help, I encourage you to look online for techniques and strategies, but I'll be glad to help you too if anyone gets in touch with me here through this event. And I'm also on LinkedIn, by the way, so I encourage everyone to have a LinkedIn profile and find me there. There are also some communities that are specific to space exploration fans and advocates and future workers. So one website is called Spacely, and it's a job and basically a job website specifically for people that want to work or currently work in the space industry and space community. So I encourage people to look for that, and you can create a profile there and then look for writing tasks from other people. There are also freelancing opportunities, and the benefit of being in Pakistan or whatever country you're in, as I said before, you have access to everyone in the world. And so here are a few examples of some freelancing sites. I encourage you to do some research for ones that are most popular in your country, or you can go to the sites that are popular with people in the countries you want to work with and make a profile there and look for writing opportunities in these places. And then something unique for people there in Pakistan, you probably have an advantage, which may not seem like it at first, but English is probably not your first and primary language. So that means I see great opportunities for you with translation services, because a lot of the lunar exploration efforts are happening in English and being communicated in English. But perhaps there's an audience for more people to learn about it in Pakistan in your native languages, like Urdu or Punjabi. And I don't know much about this, so I don't know exactly how much of a need there is, but I do think there is a need, and that's something that you would be able to learn about more than me. But there's another opportunity for you. And then if you are more ambitious and want to create something of your own, you could do what I've done and learn how to make your own book, whether it's an ebook or a print book. And so here's a couple suggestions, places. I did a search of what's possible in Pakistan, and looks like you have some opportunities there to create your own ebooks or create your own print books and self-publish those. So I encourage you to look at that. And if you have some ideas, you can pursue that. One thing I will say is a blog is a more efficient and inexpensive and safe way to get started with this. One strategy I've learned and seen to create a book and publish it, if you're a good writer, is to start with a blog and experiment and learn and share with that. And then if it's successful or when you learn from it, you can take very close to what you've published on a blog and turn that into a book. And then let's talk about some jobs. You could actually look for some full-time jobs, perhaps, as a writer. And so here's a search on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, again, is a great platform I recommend to build a strong profile there and presence. So here's 79 jobs for companies looking for space writers in South Asia. So there could be opportunities near you. And notice here, I'll say, I'd use the filters here. These are jobs. I picked the lowest or entry level experience levels here, the 3 lowest. I picked jobs that were remote, so you don't have to be in person. And then I picked 7 different titles for things that look like they could be a writing job. So we're living in a great time, an era of opportunity here for someone to be a writer from anywhere in the world, no matter where you are. And then there's also opportunities for dedicated writing platforms, if you're on those or want to be. So Substack is a website where you can be a writer and author. It's like a blogging website, but you can get subscriptions for people to follow you, and they pay you money every month to read what you write. So that could be a long-term goal or ambition for you. So again, here's a great message from Seth Godin, who's a very successful author and entrepreneur who I love his books, and I encourage you to find his books too. He says, reject the tyranny of being picked, pick yourself. And that's what we can do today. That's also what Elon Musk did. I'm a huge fan of him. He decided we needed to reduce the cost of access to space. And here's a mock-up of his Starship on the moon, which will be a part of our future moon base and moon village, we all hope. So I hope these ideas and suggestions and advice help you, give you some ideas and opportunities to benefit from the upcoming lunar missions as a writer. Thanks very much. Here's some contact information for me you can look for. And then I'll also give another plug for Moon Village Association, because I love what they do. And they are helping humanity return to the moon and do it in the right way. So you can, when you buy my book or find people who bought my book, Goodnight Moonbase, which is a children's bedtime book, there's a place in the back of that book where you can decide to donate a portion of your sale to an organization that will help us create a peaceful moon village. And Moon Village Association is one of those. So I'd love to contribute more to that organization. So if you have young kids or know people with young kids, then you can share Goodnight Moonbase, and I'll boost each other's efforts here. So thanks a lot. I'll be glad to take some questions or have more discussion.
Thank you so much, Mr. Brett, for your insightful session on writing. If anyone has any questions, they can send in the chat.
Looks like somebody asked something, perhaps. Oh, that was you. Okay. Great.
Well, I think there is no question at the moment, but I would like to add a few pointers. Okay. Jatin Mehta shared one link. Maybe we can have this conversation. Okay. So thank you so much, Brett, for your great presentation. I would like to add a few points. For example, in Pakistan, there are a lot of people actually don't know you mentioned very important point, that is translating material into different languages is one of the best way, because I know some of my friends are doing this kind of work and they're having earning from this, especially from this kind of idea, translating the material into local languages, especially in Urdu. Um, I think this is great. Other than that, the one thing that you have mentioned, that uh, writing a book itself is really important, because a lot of people have writing skills, and those platforms that you mentioned for freelancing and writing, I know one example. One of my friend, she is writing content related to space, and for every content she may earn around from 50 to 150 US dollar, and which is a very good amount. So
That's great.
think in this way, because from country like Pakistan, and people who think it's not an easy option to be a part of space industry, I think it's one of the best way to enter into this field. And there is one comment from Jatan, which is, "Hi, great talk. Thanks, Brett. I am professional space writer and would like to speak for 2 minutes to add to the nice things Brett noted." Yes, Jatan, you may. I'm gonna unmute you. So yes.
Hi, Brett. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Brett, for this great talk. I picked quite a few things from your talk, and I look forward to using them myself. Um, so, everyone, I just wanted to add a sentence or two to what Brett said in his talk. So, I am a professional space writer based out of India, and so my journey is not very different from the kind of examples that Brett has given here. So, I started writing by making a free blog on space exploration. And then I slowly started writing for a few media publications, both within India and as well as abroad. And that's how I started becoming a professional writer. And now, yeah, my whole job is basically to write about space and our moon specifically. And I get paid by publications and sponsors and so on. So my point here is that, yeah, I mean, what the kind of things that Brett talked about is like very possible for people like us sitting in not in the US, people like us in India and Pakistan and the Asian countries. So we really do have ample opportunities uh, in the age of the internet. And we can't go to sea launches in the US, but we can still sit here and write about space in ways that is unique. And the last thing I would like to add is the point Brett mentioned about communicating others' ideas, right? Even if we don't have ideas of our own or unique analysis of our own, we can contribute by communicating ideas. That's what I've been primarily doing with my newsletter Moon Monday. For those of you are not familiar, it's basically just a weekly newsletter covering all global updates regarding moon exploration, be it from India or Pakistan or Russia or US or China or whoever, right? My goal is to basically give people a great, concise overview of everything that is happening in moon exploration from across the globe. And I'm not really, giving original insight on the newsletter there, but the fact that I'm communicating ideas from across the world to and pushing it out to subscribers using Substack, which is something Brett mentioned. And my newsletter is free; it's not even paid. Like you can completely subscribe to it for free. Uh, it has facilitated communication between scientists who have benefited from research that I communicated in the newsletter. So I just wanted to add that, as a great example of, as a viable, validation of what Brett said. And thanks, Brett, again. I look forward to using some of your advice. Thanks, everyone.
Great. Well, thank you. And it's great to learn about you. I didn't know about your newsletter, so I want to subscribe. So I'll look for that, and hopefully you'll see me there. So, thanks. I think, yeah, there's great opportunities for sharing information that's happening.
Thank you so much, Jatin, for your insight. And I'll also, of course, be subscribing to your newsletter. Do we have any other questions?
I guess anyone who would like to give, okay. Link, I'm gonna post it in the chat box. Here's a link of newsletter.
Oh, great.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Jason, for sharing. And any other question from anyone? So thank you so much, Brett. I think.
Can I ask?
Yes, please go ahead.
Anything about Moon Village Association in Pakistan that is also happening that you have planned, perhaps you want to share?
Okay, yes, we are doing some activities. We have just started this initiative to have some webinar series and activities throughout year. So this is our current plan, and we are going to add more activities within this Moon Village Association. Especially there is a project that I'm working on, so I'm gonna share very soon. So stay excited, I would say.
Okay, we'll have to stay tuned for that. Right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Brett. I think we should, there is one more comment. Okay, I want to make my own blog. Okay, there is one question from Abdul Kabir. I want to make my own blog, how to create it? Yes, very good question.
Okay, well, I would say there's a lot of information available on the web to start a blog. You can start it for free, and so I'd suggest do some research, but I also would say get in touch with me on LinkedIn. Please, if you don't have a LinkedIn account or Twitter, I'm on Twitter also. Look for me, reach out to me, and I'll be glad to talk with you more, directly and see where you are, what you've done so far, and we'll see what we can do, how I can help. How's that?
Oh, yes. Here we have one more raise hand. Yes, Mink. Thank you for joining the webinar, especially from Moon Village Association. We have one representative. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Okay.
All right. Can I speak? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep. Hi, Giuseppe.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm very pleased to join this webinar, because I think this is a great initiative. And of course, I'd like to thank, first of all, the organizer from Pakistan to have managed to get Brett to speak. I think this is a major achievement. So thank you, Brett. As Brett said, we have some cooperation since some time ago. And so I wanted to listen myself, because sometimes it's always good to participate directly. So I have, if I may, just as a president of the Moon Village Association, a couple of observation / comment. So as you all know, the organization has been created to interface with the public. And I think it has been said also by Sarah in the introduction. So I think one of the critical parts of the organization is the communication to the public. And obviously that is within the object. So we do need to create, and by the way, we had been pleased that Yatan was recently, we got in contact with him, and we are now establishing some cooperation with him, because we do need the communication to the public. So I think it might not be a bad idea in the future to create maybe even a network of writers, because we need them, because, as I said, public has a lot of interest. And some of you might know the International Moon Day, which just passed a few days ago on the 20th of July. It was the first time that we did that. And what has been remarkable, and you can all check on the IMD website, a lot of event has been organized in developing countries. Which is clearly indication that there is a strong interest of the public. So I think, let's say, the communication to the people and the writer, which they do that, is as much important from my point of view as a scientist or engineers which are working. So, and that's why one of the main reasons also for me to join you, just to tell you and to confirm that the writers are an asset, which is very important. And so it might be a possibility. You know, we have also working groups and groups within the organization. One possibility, I'm just mentioning this because, you know, I like to generate ideas, could be even to create some sort of school or basically groups of interested people. Of course, all of you makes this for living. So clearly it is important that this is happening as well. Nevertheless, I think if we increase, let's say, the network, this is obviously goes as a benefit also for your professional activity. So I just want to throw this idea about the possibility, because it's so critical, the communication with the public. I just give you an example. As you know, SLS has been mentioned, and I think 29 at the moment is the launch date, but hardly anyone, including myself, I have to say, had very little knowledge about the 4, let's say, CubeSat, which are going to the moon. And so there are 4 CubeSat which are going to the moon. And so I think I was going to write after this event to Yatan, but since he's on the line, I'll tell him now. It will be extremely important in one of his next Moon Day, let's say, issue to really talk about those. Because, I mean, I just discovered just today that the Japanese, they are trying to hard land on the moon with one of the CubeSat. So these are all very exciting, which nobody knows about. And so I think the bottom line is, let's get this skill out. Let's try to get them connected. And of course, let's try to communicate this to the public. The more we communicate, the more also your job is valuable. The more job is available, the more people we can get and the more we can grow. I think is, of course, something similar in the economical term. This is a valid also for the skill. So I think this was my first, let's say, observation. And the second is, of course, for the Pakistan MVA group, which, of course, I like to congratulate. Of course, they are also involved in the PECs. And I think what is important, I think that the PECs is also connected to what you're doing. So maybe as a part of those webinars, again, as a suggestion, you speak about your own. You don't have to be shy. I think Brett was right on the nail by asking you basically what you guys are doing. And I think this is important to have opportunity, like we have speakers which are known and people come and listen to explain also what you are doing in terms of actually organizing this event. And as he said, why you're doing that, why you're doing that, why it's important for Pakistan, why for the youth of Pakistan. So I think let us try also to give these aspects when we organize those webinars. Of course, the speaker is the speaker, and of course he has the right and the privilege to give the talk. Nevertheless, the organizer, we will ask in the future, we might even put as a suggestion, not a requirement, because we cannot put requirement, but there's a suggestion that the organizer talk about themselves. So this also will allow the people to communicate with each other and basically try to expand the news. So that's all. I'm sorry it took a bit longer, but I just wanted to give those 2 messages across. And again, I'd like to thank you for the organization of this event. And of course, let's try to take this opportunity that you picked up science writing as a topic to expand it also in the future and connect it maybe even to the cultural working group. Cultural working group, as you know, is organizing a lot of events. And so you might also get some cross connection between those two. So again, thank you so much for organizing this. And of course, thank you, Brett. And thank you to all the participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
All right.
sir, for your
Thank you.
time.
Great to hear from you. Yeah.
Yes.
He's right. It's yeah, communication is key, and
Yes, exactly.
needs and
Communication is
opportunities
key,
there.
and we should share more about Cosmic Tribe. Why do we exist in Pakistan? And these are very important suggestions for sure. Thank you once again, Brett, and everyone here who joined this webinar for your time and listening to our guest speaker presentation. If you have any question, feel free to contact me on my email address and stay in contact because we are going to have more webinars coming soon. Yes, Sarah, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. I would just like to ask a question from Mr. Brett. Like there are some people that I know in around my circle that are not necessarily from a science background, but they are very, very passionate to write about it, to be a space writer, as you call it. Like they're doing different degrees, different specializations, yet they still prefer to write for space, and they research a lot on their own. They more of a self-study kind of person. So for people like that who don't have any sort of degree or you can say professional experience to facilitate their profile, how may they be a writer, a good space writer that's recognized?
Well, it's definitely possible. And as some people have said here, what's really needed and beneficial is for someone who can take the technical concepts or even just news and events, concepts and facts, and translate them or put them into terms for the average person or for the general public. And so you don't have to be a technical expert from those fields. In fact, it could be an advantage not to be, because if you can learn enough to understand it as a non-technical person, then you could be a better person and a good person to put it into language that other people can understand. So I think there's always a shift where you can, what might seem like a disadvantage at first could actually be an advantage. And I think this is one case where you don't have to be a technical background person. If you're a good writer, that's what counts. And that is very special and a good skill. So yeah, I think it's a great opportunity for them too.
Okay, thank you so much for your insight. I think that was like a big encouragement for all the people who are not from the science background. I guess we're not going to have any more questions. So let's put this to an end. Thank you so much, Mr. Bright, for all your time and for all your insight on this matter. I personally, because I want to be a writer in future, I know how important it is to know how to write and to know the right resources to access those things, because many people are very, very confused because there are too many options on the internet to make you validate your own writing. So thank you so much. And thank you for your time, and I guess thank you for the audience as well for joining us and for giving us your time. And yes, that's it.
Thank you.